What's going on, everyone? My name is UnderTheRadar, and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. This one's going to be on Mega Pidgeot, and Mega Pidgeot is a Pokemon that I was very skeptical of whenever I first saw it, but after using it and after enjoying it, I think that this Pokemon has a lot of potential. Real quick, going over its move pool, it's very subpar. You're going to be running about the same moves on it every single week of Hurricane. The fact that this is even in here as moves that you should use is bad. You're going to use Heat Wave, you're going to use Hurricane, you're going to use Roost, Hidden Power, and then Toxic or Defog. That's about it. Everything else is pretty much not that good. Look at its stats, like base 80 attack, you're hardly ever going to want to run physical with it. Hurricane just hits so goddamn hard. It's so amazing. So what does this thing struggle with? It struggles with bulky steals. Bulky steals, it struggles to take out, so immediately the first thing that I'm going to suggest to you guys is Dugtrio. In most leagues now, Arena Trap is still allowed, so it forces them to run Shed Shell, meaning that typically a Heat Wave will two-shot them. Big ones that come to mind, Celesteela. Celesteela isn't really good for Dougie, but we will get into that. Another big one that comes to mind are like Registeel, your Mega Agrons, your Steelix, things like that. Dougie traps them, it clicks a Z move versus them, and then it kills it. And of course I'm talking about if it's unlimited Z moves, because I think that is literally the only way that Z moves should be played with these days. So yeah, I think that these two are an amazing way to start out with. Typically Dugtrio is like tier 2, which is pretty good. Pidgeot's like a mega tier 1, which is alright. So you need a really good electric type. Zeraora, the one that I've talked about in the previous video, is pretty lit. But there's a bunch of different really cool ones. One that I think is kind of sort of underrated that I think people should try out with this is going to be Xurkitree. And the reason why I say that is because this thing can set up and break through teams super easily, and it forces people to basically have their big wall weakened just to revenge kill this thing, which then Pidgeot can come in and reverse clean everything up with its base 121 speed. Amazing speed tier, absolutely amazing speed tier. So this is really cool, and it gives you Volt Switch. Ground types aren't really too big of an issue because this thing does get Energy Ball, so you have a really good way of sending in your Mega Pidgeot, right? It forces in a bulky Steel type or a bulky Water type, one of the two. You click U-turn on it. If they stay in, you trap it with Dougie, or if it's a Water type, you drop in Xurkitree and you kill it, or you Z-move it with Dougie and you kill it. The big thing to remember about Mega Pidgeot is that there's a bunch of different ways that you can build around it. I believe Dan worked around it really well whenever he drafted Zygarde around it. That worked out really well because he gave him really good setup. I would suggest that you draft setup with Mega Pidgeot. I think that you should draft like good setup. I would suggest that you have no less than 4 Pokemon or 5 Pokemon that have a really good setup on your team. So Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Bulk Up, Calm Mind, Tail Glow, things like that. You need to have at least 5 of them, in my opinion. But this thing is a really good cleaner with 121 and then 120. You have really good speed tiers, but you need to fix up the speed tiers because this drops all the way down to base 83. So fixing in with the whole trapping aspect and pivoting aspect, I think Hydreigon works super well. Reason being because it baits in bulky fairies almost every single time with Z moves and having Z Belch. Why isn't Belch up here? That's stupid. So it gets Z Belch, which helps it really break down bulky fairy types. And it can help break down bulky steals because it gets Fire Blast. And its base 98 speed tier means that base... Wow, English is hard. Base 100 speed tier Pokemon have to run Timid. Base 110 have to run Timid. The only things that don't are base 115s. So if you could get like a base 110 Mon, that'd be pretty lit. If you could get another base 115 to help out with it, it'd be pretty cool as well. Hydreigon does add a really cool aspect to this team, which is a bulky set. Having 2 really good ground immunities and having a pretty prevalent fighting weakness right now means that once you get a fairy type and a ghost type to go with this, that this thing is actually going to be freed up a lot to run a bulkier set with like Roost, Defog. I believe it gets Taunt as well. It's been so long since I've used Hydreigon. It gets Taunt. Very, very, very cool mon. So, with these 4, right now you're looking at a... You have really good pivoting. Don't really need something with that. You need bulk. You need, like, good bulk. And you also need really good stealth rockers, because right now Dougie being the only stealth rocker is really, really bad. So what I'm going to put emphasis on right here is going to be a Tapu Fini. Reason being, gives you Defog, which is really, really crucial if you're running like a Sash Dougie to trap something. It also gives you Misty Terrain, which is pretty big. It does kind of sort of counteract with Z Circuitry with Z Hypnosis, but it does not hurt with like Z Electric Terrain, which is pretty nice. This actually doesn't really get affected by Misty Surge too much, because Dark Spam is still really good and it's levitating. I think Tapu Fini works out pretty well. This is the iffy pair that I'm on, because spamming Draco Meteors with this is so nice, but Defog is just so amazing. If this thing had its hidden ability released, oh man, I think that it would open up so many pairings for it. But I think it would also make it a little bit worse, because it could be toxic stalled a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. So with this, you have a Defogger, you have a bulky Water, you have a bulky Fairy. You're helping out with a bunch of different things, but one thing you're not helping out with is your electric weakness. You have a Pidgeot and a Tapu Fini. The electric type is going to be coming versus you literally every single week. So you need to have a really good electric immunity. So this Circuitry right here, I think what I would actually do, I think I would actually change it to this. Having the Volt Absorb along with amazing setup is still really good. It gives you another ground immunity, which is huge, but Z moves with this is just as good as Z Circuitry, and a 100 base speed tier, which is pretty good. And you still keep your base 80-ish speed tier with this. So I think this is a much better combo, just because you have Volt Absorb. It makes people not want to just spam electric types versus you. So this is the Burb Squad. This is literally the Burb Squad. This is like a water burb, if you think about it. It's kind of a water burb. Okay, so now looking at this, you don't have a Steel type. You don't have... Let's just look through the Steel types and see. Because, so the main reason why I'm saying let's look through the Steel types is because whenever I, like, planned out the ones to build for this, I built out these 4 with Circuitry, added Tapu Fini, put Thundurus in, just in my plan, just like I showed you guys. So, these 5, and then a Steel type, but the Steel type you wanted to have Rocks, which is pretty big. If Mega Mawil's allowed, Mega Mawile fits perfectly. Mega Aggron actually works out pretty well. Jirachi's pretty cool because it gives you a Stealth Rocker, another pivoting mon, setup mon. Empoleon doesn't. I hate Bronzong. I'm going to never suggest Bronzong to you guys, literally ever. You could go Heatran and get like an immunity stack going on, because you have like ground immunity, electric and ground immunity, psychic and ground immunity, you have a dragon immunity, you would then have a fire immunity, so you could do that. And actually, yes, because you have 3 really good ground immunities, so people can't just spam ground moves versus you, so that's really, really good. And it gives you a pretty good bulky offensive core. I like this a lot. And you never have to worry about your Heatran being trapped, because you have a trapper right here. Oh my god, that's amazing! Good job, me. So just to reiterate why I think Heatran is pretty good. 1, immunity stack is huge in Draft League format. I wanted to draft a team once that had literally a different immunity with every single Pokemon that I drafted. So I wanted like a Sap Sipper, a Water Absorb, a Volt Absorb, a Levitate, a Fairy type, a Steel type, things like that, a Ghost type, to be able to immune like almost anything. If somebody wanted to click a move versus me, I could have an immunity for it. So immunity stacking is pretty big. You have a Fire type immunity with Flash Fire. You have a Dragon type immunity with Fairy type. You have a Psychic type immunity with Dark. You also have a Levitator here. You have an Electric type and a Levitator. You have an Electric type immunity, and then you have a Ground immunity. So, so you have some pretty good immunities here, and you have a really good way of starting. You have really good offense. You have decent bulk. I would suggest Wish Pass with this, of course. I always suggest Wish Pass, but good Wish Pass, not bad Wish Pass like Chansey. That's bad. Licky Licky works on it literally every single team because it's a normal type and it's fat. So, yeah, this is where I think I'm going to end these 6. I think it's actually a pretty cool combination. Typically, people go Tapu Bulu with Heatran. You could if you wanted to, so that way you don't have Hydreigon. I just don't really like Tapu Bulu, and then you could get a different bulky water type, like a Jellicent if you wanted to. Actually, kind of do like that more. I kind of do like that more. Yeah. The only bad part is trapping bulky steals with this. You would have to have a Z move with this because otherwise Earthquake would be really weakened. And I don't think this thing gets Stomping Tantrum. If it does, that's so stupid. Yeah, I actually like this a lot. I like these 6. I want to draft these 6. There are a bunch of Pokemon that I love. So with that, guys, that's where I'm going to end it. I hope you guys did find this pretty informative and pretty different for ways to draft around Mega Pidge. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like down below for me. Please make sure that you leave some suggestions for me. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.